I bow to you and invite you to bring Buddha nature to your forefront of your consciousness. When I first started teaching, I was very anti-ritual. I had experienced different teachers, different groups, different organizations that were very heavy into ritual. But many of them, of the practitioners, the lower level practitioners, really didn't know what the ritual was about. They were just doing it mechanically. And that really turned me off to the whole idea of rituals. It was an empty gesture. And the way my teacher taught was very radical and very, he would get us accustomed to viewing the world in a certain way and then intentionally come in the very next time and smash that perception and cause us to see it a completely different way. So it was this very tumultuous thing. But the one constant, the one ritual that he did have us do, although he never used the word ritual, was the bowing at the end of a meditation. At the end of the meditation, there's this wonderful moment of stillness, and when we bow, it becomes an embodied moment of gratitude, where there's recognition that it wasn't really us who was meditating, that we were being meditated, and that this light was just pouring through us, and we had the honor and good fortune to experience that. So when we bow at the end of the meditation, we can bring that gratitude into our being. And then just on a very physical level, it's a nice stretch. So if you're at the beginning, as I said, I was very anti-ritual, so I'd always include that. I'd say, oh, it's just a nice stretch at the end, but there's this little hidden meaning. But as I've grown and developed, I've come to understand that ritual is very useful if it's used consciously. If we just go along with what somebody else is just telling us to do, then it can not be very helpful, and it can actually make us a bit obsessive. We can get caught up in almost a superstition where, oh, if I don't say grace before I eat, I'm going to burn in hell. But on the other hand, if we do it consciously, like I have a student who has relatives who are Catholic, so they always say grace before a meal, and when it was her turn, she changed the wording a little bit and said, oh, thank you for this food, may it nourish and strengthen my body. And I really liked that, but it felt incomplete, so of course, me being me, I had to add to it a little bit. And now in the morning, I've been practicing this ritual where as I'm preparing my breakfast, I just silently say, thank you to everyone and everything that has made today's food possible. May it nourish and strengthen this body so I may be of service to all beings. And this little ritual shifts me in the morning, especially if I'm having a rough morning, maybe I didn't sleep well, maybe I'm feeling a little cranky because my husband, didn't clean up something. If you have lived with somebody, there's always going to be some little thing that when you're tired, it's like, a little annoyance. But just by going through this silent ritual as I'm, pouring my bowl of cereal or making my cacao, it shifts my mind to this wonderful place of interconnection. So, for example, even, pouring the bowl of cereal, my husband contributed to making that possible because we share expenses. And then that can lead the mind to realizing that, oh, well, the person who made the bowl that my cereal is going into also made this possible. All the creatures that made the wheat possible, down to the smallest microbe, to the plant itself, to the farmers, to the processing centers, to the stores, to the truck drivers, to all the people that made the truck. So you can see how it expands outward, and it really starts to key you into this whole interconnected world that we have, how we are all interdependent. And it creates in me this wonderful feeling of gratitude. And what a great way to start your day, especially if you're tired and cranky. So when we use rituals in that way, consciously, they become this doorway for us. It allows us to, in essence, zoom out from our drama. We have these human bodies, and we all have different challenges. We all have different human things that take our attention. And sometimes they draw our attention so tightly that it creates a great deal of suffering. All the different struggles that we face. Life is hard sometimes. And when we get caught up in this day-to-day existing and living, we can fall into the melancholy that most of the world is caught up in, where they're just seeing life as this experience of you get up, you go to work, you come home, you eat, you sleep, you get up, you go to work, and it's just this mundane struggle without feeling there's any purpose to it. But when we consciously incorporate ritual, like the one I just described, of just giving thanks for the food and for all of the people and beings and creatures and all of the work that made it possible, so that you can be strong and then in turn give to others, it creates this wonderful connection, this feeling of belonging. And it takes us from that drama that we had that had consumed our attention, and it's like on a picture, if you're looking at Google Maps, you're zoomed into a city street and you see all the drama going on that street, but then you zoom out and now you see the whole city, and then you see the whole country, and then you see the whole earth, and then you keep going and you see the whole universe, and you see this wonderful play of light that is unfolding endlessly. So this way of using ritual as a doorway allows us to perform that action of going from very zoomed in to very zoomed out. The way my teacher called it was switching the foreground and the background, because we have this magical, mysterious background of existence that is pure light. That is what we are, but we forget because we've taken the infinite and squished ourselves down into these finite forms with these mundane dramas that are happening. So as a practice this week, or as a point of mindfulness, if you will, pay attention to the rituals that you're using and see if you can separate out what has become an empty ritual, where it's just something that somebody told you once to do or somebody taught you to do, and then you're just doing it for the sake of doing it. And this happens to a lot of people, where we start to build our lives around supporting a ritual instead of the other way around, instead of using and creating rituals that support us. So pay attention to these seemingly little activities and just question. Say, well, what is it that I'm hoping to achieve by doing this? What is this purpose behind this activity? When we start to question our motives of all these actions that we're taking all day long, we start to see that, oh, some are little rituals that just help me stay focused on the divine, that help me remember to zoom out and experience the purity of being. And then there's other things that we're just doing out of routine or out of habit. And maybe they help us, maybe they don't. But those are the ones you really want to start to question and look at a little bit closer. And say, well, okay, I've gotten in this routine, I'm doing this activity. It might be something really big, like drinking morning coffee. That's a very popular ritual that people do. And you might ask yourself, well, am I doing this just because I'm addicted to caffeine and I need it? Or maybe you have a medical condition that it's a drug, that it's actually helping you. Maybe it's just because everybody else drinks coffee, so you do too, to feel included. Maybe it's something you're just doing because you've done it since college. But look at it and see, is this something that's helping you? Like years ago, I switched to cacao. It works better in my body. But it's a whole ritual making it. And as I said, it gives me that time in the morning. So it's not just about I need my cacao. It's also a time for me to become more centered and feel that interconnection with the rest of eternity. So I've taken that, very mundane activity and turned it into a ritual that benefits my entire life and actually supports me. So my point is, you can take any of these things that you do, and if you examine it consciously, you have this choice to turn it into a ritual that actually supports you, instead of feeling like, well, I need to go to work and make money so I can buy my coffee, or else I'm going to get a headache. And then that way the ritual is being supported instead of you being supported. It gets flipped around. But you can, as I said, take that personal power back and say, oh, wait a minute, no, I enjoy my time drinking my coffee because making it gets me connected and moving in my body, and then sitting there drinking it allows me maybe to look out the window and notice the birds. Like this morning we had a woodpecker visit our tree, so that was a fun little visit. Or it gives us time to just settle in. So as you continue to kind of examine your different routines and habits, you might run into some that have become more of a compulsion, where it's like, well, no, I just have to do this or I don't feel right. Those are the ones you want to take a little bit of time and start to contemplate and say, what is really going on here? Where is the attachment? What am I actually getting out of this? And this is where we really start to see the deeper levels of our being. And we might not be ready to let go of that particular routine yet. Maybe we're still hung up on it. But just by acknowledging that, oh yes, I have an attachment to this activity that I do, and I'm going to consciously carry it. So now we know we have this weight that we're carrying around, and it's not that you need to feel bad about it, it's just an awareness. It's just like, oh, I'm not quite ready to let that go, so I'm going to keep carrying this. But as you become more critical of your time, more aware of how you're using your body and mind, you can start to develop more conscious rituals. And this will serve you when times get tough. Because we all have our human dramas, as we said. We're all, struggling with different things, living on this planet in these bodies. And the earth itself is going through a lot of transitions. Our societies are really transitioning, and it's very turbulent. It can feel very, very frightening. But if you have consciously created rituals for yourself, then when you feel completely spun out, where just life is completely out of control and you don't know which way is up, that's when those rituals are priceless. Because now that simple action of making your coffee or cacao or making your breakfast and giving thanks and feeling the interconnectedness of existence allows you to zoom out of that drama for just a moment. You're still aware, like, yes, there's still drama I have to deal with. I'm not escaping, but I'm getting this much wider perspective. And I'm imbuing myself with gratitude and connection. And that makes us stronger. And now, as we go about our day, we have this light, this power that has filled our being. So play with that this week. See where it takes you. So 2 of the practices that we do with our mindfulness when we're learning to pay attention, I guess we could call these a ritual too, and that is to always look for beauty or gratitude within our present circumstances. So it's not about fantasizing and daydreaming something outside of ourselves. It's this practice that we do of paying full attention to where we are right now, what we're experiencing, what am I thinking, what am I feeling. And if it's not bright and happy and progressive, then we look around us and say, what do I find beautiful right now? What can I feel gratitude for right now? And we click our mind onto that beauty or gratitude. And it does this amazing thing where it actually shifts our mind state. So this is one of our core practices that we do. This is how we learn how to control our mind. But we can make this also into a ritual. So when you're getting up in the morning, maybe make that your first thought. You say, okay, I'm awake. What can I feel gratitude for? What in my room is beautiful? I listened to another Dharma teacher the other day, and she has a terminal illness and is losing motion and movement in most of her body at this point, and she paints with her mouth. And I think she's at the point now where she might not be able to paint, but she gave this wonderful Dharma talk, and one of the things that she said is every morning that she wakes up, she has the thought of, oh, I've woken up, and therefore I am here for the purpose of being of service. Otherwise, I would not have woken up. Because one day she's not going to wake up, just like the rest of us, one day we're not going to wake up. But what a beautiful ritual. So every morning, that's her first thought. She wakes up and says, okay, I've been given another day. How can I be of service? So one of the ways, if you're not quite ready to jump into service full bore, one of the ways that we can kind of build up to that is through using beauty or gratitude. Is waking up and saying, okay, what do I find beautiful? And if you wake up and there's nothing beautiful in your room, make that your mission for the day. Say, okay, I'm going to go find a flower somewhere and put it in my room, or a picture of a flower, print one out. Or I'm going to find a pretty rock. Just something that we can feel that is beautiful. So build these little rituals, not just in the morning, but throughout the day. And observe how your life changes, how much easier it is for you to connect with that which you truly are. So let's do some more meditation now. We'll sit up straight and we'll do the chakra meditation. So we'll start on the navel center and rest your attention there, just below your belly button. Then we'll move up to the heart. And again, just let your attention rest. Notice what's there. We're not trying to make anything happen. We're just resting our awareness. And then finally, we'll move up to the third eye and let our attention rest there.